Now before we get into the video, I do want to say a massive thank you to today's video sponsors, and once again that is jerseyfifa.com. They really do help keep the content on this channel going, and they even sent me a free shirt which you can see on screen here. And as you can see, I got the new Manchester United home kit, and genuinely the kit really is top quality. I highly recommend their product. So make sure to get in a link in the description down below, and now if you use code JerseyFifa at checkout, you'll get 10% off your order. You get a great football shirt, and you help support the channel, which I really do appreciate massively. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel. Hope you're all well, all good, all healthy, and everything. Today I was going to be covering Manchester United's game against Real Sociedad, although I woke up this morning, kind of reflected on the game, and didn't really feel like it was worth doing, because we didn't really see anything tactically that was particularly interesting. There weren't an issue with Ten Hag's approach, and Sociedad didn't do anything incredible. It was just poor individual performances from Manchester United and a few of their second string players, and then a, let's call it, dubious penalty decision from the referee and VAR, which I don't want to talk about because it's a joke. So instead of doing that, I thought we would talk about just Ten Hag in general, his start to life at Manchester United, the start to the season, because we're now 7 games in now and we've seen 4 wins and 3 losses. And I think what we're seeing is a manager learning the process, kind of adapting to the league, but we are also seeing progress in the team. But of course, it didn't start too well. And in the first game of the season, we covered it on the channel, it was a horrible 2-1 loss to Brighton on the first day of the season. And the approach was something like this. And I think immediately now, if you compare that, why have I got Dubravka in goal? Why is Dubravka? Let me sort that out. So De Gea is in, and this is the lineup that we saw for the first game of the season. And I think if we compare that to just what we saw against Arsenal last weekend, instantly we are seeing that Ten Hag is learning certain lessons. So initially we didn't exactly have tons of energy and pace up front. There's no ball playing ability in the midfield, and in Shaw and Maguire you've got 2 reactive rather than proactive, slightly slow defenders. And things didn't go very well. United really struggled in that game. Brighton outplayed them and they lost. We then moved on to the Brentford game where things actually got even worse, with a 4-0 loss and one of the worst Manchester United performances I've ever seen. But there were changes in that game. So we now saw Fred coming out of the team with Eriksen dropping in deeper, and we saw Ronaldo coming up front with Rashford and Sancho still the 2 wide players. But again, despite these changes, there were still some of the same mistakes. So Ten Hag had now recognised that Fred wasn't good enough to play in these deeper positions to progress the ball. So that is one good thing that we've learned. He also learned the kind of the false 9 experiment with Eriksen didn't really work, so we saw a striker. However, there are still 2 issues here. Or, that's probably more than 2 issues actually. So one is that Ronaldo just doesn't have the energy at the moment, the legs, the athleticism, to constantly play up front and really hassle a defence for 90 minutes. The other issue is that Eriksen is not used to dropping here with his back to goal to play out from the back. And then finally, Maguire, Luke Shaw and David De Gea way too slow on the ball, and particularly Maguire and Shaw way too slow defensively. Manchester United lose 4-0, and the media are calling it a disaster. Lisandro Martinez can't play in the Premier League. Absolute joke. Ten Hag reacted, he adapted and adjusted, and we've seen early changes in his system. And we first saw that in the Liverpool game, where we were kind of going into the game expecting United to lose, but I done a tactical preview saying how United could win, and we saw some of those patterns. So one of the things we saw, if I recall correctly, was Ronaldo being dropped, Rashford going up front, Sancho going to a left wing, Anthony Elanga came in on the right wing, or was it the other way around? It was the other way around. It was Sancho right wing, Elanga left wing. And again we saw Eriksen and McTominay in midfield, but importantly Maguire and Shaw dropped out of the team, Tyrell Malacia came into the side, as did Rafa Varane. And this was the start of the change for Manchester United, and Ten Hag learning his lessons. So one lesson he learned was that clearly we now have more agile, feisty, proactive defenders rather than reactive players. Manchester United now playing on the front foot defensively. We've got this ball playing ability in a deep area from Eriksen, and then we've got some pace and tenacity up front, and also out wide with Anthony Elanga as well. Now what we saw in this game is United changing approach, because both against Brighton and Brentford, they were caught with Fred, McTominay and Eriksen being used as pressing triggers by the opposition. So kind of since this Liverpool game, a lot of the time United aren't taking that risk, and the ball is being sent quite long, and then get on the second ball and play from there. And I don't think that is how Ten Hag wants to play long term. It does feel a little bit like United are playing with one hand tied behind their back, but Ten Hag clearly doesn't trust De Gea on the ball and also McTominay in the midfield. If you don't trust 2 of your deepest, 7 players, you can't play out from the back. Ten Hag has learnt that, And actually, I think he deserves credit for that, because a lot of managers are quite stubborn, and if they're set in their ways of wanting to play possession football, we will see them persist with trying to play out from the back. Ten Hag didn't do that. He kind of admitted that this squad probably currently doesn't have the technical ability to do so, because he didn't get the signings he wanted in midfield. So he said, alright, let's adapt, let's send the ball long and play from there. Something else we've seen is United, the pressing structure has improved. Rashford's kind of splitting centre-backs. Fernandes is going man-to-man in midfield, and we're kind of seeing a bit of a man-to-man press. And I will say, Eriksen and McTominay have been absolutely phenomenal. Eriksen for what he does on the ball, and McTominay on the ball is sort of being bypassed a little bit, but then off the ball he's winning a lot of his duels, he's picking up the second balls, and then this defence just has a new level of tenacity to it in the way that United are defending. And it led to an impressive win over Liverpool, and United took that into the next game against Southampton, where it wasn't a trademark or textbook performance, but we kind of saw some similar patterns starting to emerge. United weren't too bothered about playing out from the back, they weren't too bothered about dominating from in these areas here, but they did press nice and high up the pitch, and they did look to move the ball forward quickly. And I think Eriksen in particular is really becoming an important player, because he's just so good on the ball. Now, I was talking about that Brentford game, he isn't used to dropping here, that's still the case. But he is happy to drop into these areas here. He's not necessarily a regista, like the deepest, most central midfielder, because that is to an extent still McTominay at times, but he is acting as a deep-lying playmaker, dropping into these areas, and then it's his ability to play the ball through the lines. And that is really crucial to this United team and how they're playing at the moment. And it's paying off. And by this time, we'd also seen Alanga and Sancho swapping wings as well. So, like I said, what we're seeing is Erik ten Hag learning his lessons. He knows that these players can't play out from the back. He knows that they aren't the most intense pressers in the world, so he's not pressuring the goalkeeper. The press kind of starts on the centre-backs, which just gives his team a bit of protection. And yeah, we are seeing steps in the right direction. The same continued against Leicester, where again it wasn't a trademark performance, but United were very solid defensively and never looked like conceding. You can't say that for United in the past 5 seasons. United leak goals and chances constantly. In this Leicester game, we saw the same 11 rewarded with a good performance. They were given another start, and they done well again. McTominay again was good defensively. Eriksen very progressive with his passing. We're seeing Bruno Fernandes taking up slightly higher starting positions. So, in the past, let's take Eriksen out of the team, put Fred back in. McTominay and Fred, whilst they have certain things that they're good at, progressing the football is not one of them. And as a result, over the past, particularly the last 12 months, we've seen Bruno dropping quite deep to get the ball here, and then he kind of does these just silly passes when he's too excited to get the ball forward. However, with Eriksen coming into the team, United now have a deep progressor, and also from the fullbacks and the centre-backs as well. And this means that Bruno Fernandes is now able to play much higher in these areas here, and it's paying off with goals, and we of course saw it in this game, and the one before against Southampton as well, where he's getting involved in these moves in this higher area. And I think that is so much more beneficial to Manchester United, because now he isn't losing the ball in deep areas, he's now getting the ball in the final third and trying to make stuff happen. The fullbacks are getting forward in support, the wingers are playing quite wide, and United are making things happen, and I think it's really good. This moved into the Arsenal game at the weekend, which again I of course covered on the channel if you want to go check it out, and we saw Anthony coming into the team for the first time, but apart from that it's pretty much unchanged. And what I find quite funny is how silly Manchester United fans are, because we keep seeing these lineups come out. They've been similar quite a lot of the time, and the stick that Ten Hag is getting when his lineup comes out is a joke. Why people crying that Casemiro isn't starting, or Ronaldo isn't starting, or this player, that player, they're not starting. This team is playing good football, getting good results, defending well, looking dangerous in the attack, and controlling games, whether that's in or out of possession. Why would you change it? Casemiro needs time to adapt to the league. He needs that time to build his sharpness. We saw it in the Europa League game last night where he wasn't fully on it. And Ten Hag just keeps getting proven right because this team keeps delivering results on the pitch. As a result of these positive results, particularly that one against Arsenal, Manchester United have been building some momentum. The fans have been feeling positive, and rightly so. Like I said, the defence is very solid. We're seeing good football on the pitch, but I still think there is a lot of flaws and problems in this squad, and I think we learnt it. And it kind of was re-enhanced last night against Real Sociedad, where we saw a change in the team. Ronaldo came in up front, we saw Alanga out wide again, Casemiro came in. Let me just put him in real quick. So this was the starting 11 that we saw last night, and I think for all those positives we've been talking about, the decent displays against Liverpool, Leicester, Southampton and Arsenal, we then saw the negative side of this squad, and one of those things is the lack of quality depth. And also, I think we just saw Erik ten Hag being proven right. There's been questions about why Maguire, Lindelof occasionally not starting. This game last night proved it. They just don't have that intensity on the ball. They should be this way around, sorry. And United paid for it. By not having a left footer at centre-back, there wasn't this easy method of ball progression out wide. In terms of Casemiro in the middle, I thought he had some good moments, some good intelligence, but then also we saw that he's still a little bit rusty. So again, Erik ten Hag has been right to play McTominay, because Casemiro is not sharp right now. Something else I found really interesting last night was Eriksen playing deeper. That is Erik ten Hag fully acknowledging the fact that there is only one player in this whole squad that can play as a deep-lying playmaker. That is Christian Eriksen. McTominay can't do it, and Fred certainly can't do it. That's a problem, and that's the message to the board, that he didn't get what he wanted in the summer. But Eriksen is doing a good job, and again he was impressive last night. But Fred in attacking midfield was awful. Ronaldo up front, not sure what's happening there. Is this just a player getting to that stage in a career where they kind of decline? Maybe. Is there an attitude problem? I would like to think not. We are talking about one of, if not the greatest footballer of all time. I think he's shown plenty of times that his attitude is good enough. But at the moment, something is just not working for him at all. He was a shadow of his former self last night. And it's not like getting minutes. He has been getting a decent amount of game time. That wasn't English. He has been getting a decent amount of game time. But last night he was so bad. There's no acceleration. Not really a threat in the box. Constantly coming too short. Bad first touch. Bad passing. And it all just seems a little bit laid back the way he's doing things. And then at other times it's too forced. So it's not working for him. And then in Alanga out wide we saw United still don't have the quality depth they need. And it led to a disappointing defeat. But again, like I said at the start, there was a questionable VAR decision in there. But I think overall what we're seeing is that Ten Hag, he's doing a decent job. 7 games in, 3 losses, 4 wins. If I said that at the start of the season, you would say that isn't good enough. But I think we are seeing progress. We're seeing, one, the fans actually seem to like the team, which is actually quite important. We're seeing defensive improvements when we see that starting 11. We're seeing better control on the ball. We're seeing attack and threat. We're seeing Rashford in form, Jadon Sancho in form. But at the same time, there's clearly still problems. This isn't quite the football that Ten Hag wants to play, but he has to because his keeper and midfielder can't pass. I think he's doing okay, and I think he's learning his lessons quick. United have abandoned that approach of playing out from the back, and the press is very impressive at the moment. But then last night, when different players come in, we see that this squad as a whole is still very, very flawed. And I think Ten Hag has been put into a bit of a situation where in terms of his starting 11 in the next league game, whenever that may be, he really has no choice. There is very much 11 players here that are cut above the rest, and then 2 or 3 that can compete. Beyond that, this squad just doesn't have the quality, or the tenacity, or the mindset, or the technical ability to play how Ten Hag wants. And that is a concern moving forward. So, probably my final take on the video is what I was saying before the season started. This is a process that is going to take time. Quite a lot of time. Ten Hag needs to be backed financially in January and then next summer. The fans need to keep backing him. Yes, you can send a Glazers out message, but make sure you still back Ten Hag and the squad. And also, just stop questioning his decisions when the lineups get released every game. He knows what he's doing. He's very, very intelligent. And I think we're seeing United will get there under him. It's just going to take time. So, it's an okay start to the season. Would have liked to have seen more, but I'm reasonably confident moving forward. For the rest of the season, Ten Hag is going to do a good job. And I'm actually quite optimistic as a Manchester United fan at the moment, and that hasn't been the case too much in the last couple of seasons, especially last year. I think United are in an okay place, with the potential to really step up. A lot of his signings are still settling in, and they're impressing already, so when they're fully settled, I think they could be incredible. Just give this man time, please, 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 just be patient, wait for the football to improve. Yes, it wasn't great against Sociedad last night, but they did beat Arsenal last weekend. It takes time. There's going to be steps forward, there's going to be a step backwards, there'll be highs, there'll be lows. These things take time in football. If you give time to Erik ten Hag, I think United will come good, so just stay patient. But apart from that, just let me know what you think in the comments down below. What do you make of the start to the season? What do you make of Ronaldo's form? What do you think of the signings we've seen from Ten Hag? Does he impress you in interviews and press conferences, things like that, because that's important as well. Overall, just let me know what you think to the start of the season and moving forward. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have been enjoying these videos on United. I really do appreciate your support. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.